When friendships die. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And if you are one of those who's lost a friendship you thought would have lasted a lifetime, we're going to talk about the grief of losing a friendship. We talked a lot about grief this week, talked about personal losses, grief of family members, grieving, grieving what was, the grief of dementia. But the grief of friendship is different. It's a different ecosystem, and it can hurt even worse than you might think. So, strap in. Good morning, good evening, good night, everyone. Welcome to Lana's Little Things with me, Dr. Lana, specialist gerontologist. We talk all things on living agelessly. Yes, family caregiving for sure, bridging generational gaps, entrepreneurship, and all things that have to do with family and life itself. Tell a friend, share, like, remember to press the bell, remember to subscribe, notify you for all the videos coming up that I know we share a common bond and our concern for older ones, and our concern for our family caregivers, and our concern, frankly, for ourselves and our health. So let's go into it, shall we? A noted thought leader, many of you may know, he's from South Africa. His name is Simon Sinek. I'll leave it in the link below. One of the things I love to hear how he speaks. He's very authentic. He's well read. His first book that went by storm called The Importance of Start with Why, the why of what we do. One of the things he deeply researches is friendships. And an important thing he said, and it made me think, he's absolutely right. We have industries, we've got books, we've got texts, we've got all sorts of huge industries and thought leaders and educators on leadership, on parenting, on special needs, on even we're starting to get more on dementia itself. Is there any industry you're aware of or any real book or course or anything that tells us how to be a friend and what true friendship really is about? No. And yet, if you ask someone, you'd say, that's my friend, that's my good friend. Or you're talking about somebody, and we say a lot in Barbados for sure. And I'm sure this is not just one country. That's my good friend. That we've been friends for years. And yet when you go into it and you ask why, you may ask, why ask that person, why are we friends? What makes us good friends? Okay, we're there for each other, right? We laugh, we have fun. We share the good times, the bad times, and we're there for each other. There's so much more to friendship. And it's more about giving and receiving, not necessarily 50-50. Not 50-50 at all, actually. 100-100. At both being fully invested. And that's why it hurts so much. Because you can have a parent-child relationship, and that has its own dynamic. You have a spousal relationship, that should also be 100-100. But it's a different dynamic. A spouse is someone you choose. A family you don't choose, but you choose to love. Friend is someone you choose as well. So your choice in who you and who your energies meet, your ideas meet. You grow together. You have common ground. You have shared values, which is so important. And then one day or over a period of time, it's gone. And not only is it gone, but it's gone in a way that the person who is no longer your friend, who was your friend for decades, essentially tells you, you know what, we were never friends. We never had friends. Has this ever happened to you? How did it make you feel? I can tell you how it made me feel. And we're not isolated because we're in a group of 9 billion people on this planet. Each person has a friend. Each person, I assure you, has been through a friendship loss and a friendship grief. And we don't talk about it enough because are we afraid to? Or do we say, well, these things happen? No, because we don't talk about grief enough, period. So, how do we, why is it that we don't talk? What do we need to talk about? And how important is it? Why the grief hurts so much when a friendship is gone? And how can we get through it? You don't get over grief. You get through it by growing yourself, by learning different things, by taking quiet time, and also by making new friendships. Believe it or not, you can, because a part of you does go or die or is lost when a friendship is lost, because it feels as though it's partly your fault, because you're like, well, I made the choice. Do I make bad choices? It is personal. It is deeply personal. So grief includes mourning your friendships. The people you thought would show up. The people who said they would show up. The ones you showed up for. Years. You talk on the phone. You talk for hours. You spend time. You would have gone to watch movies together. You talk about everything. You talk about your family histories. You talk about your concerns. You cry together. 2 o'clock in the morning, booze and Kleenex. You know how it is. And then it's gone as though it never existed. And not only that, but it's like a gut wrench to your heart. It's like a punch to your soul. It's grief. It is grief. So the conversations get awkward, invitations stop coming, the texts are gone. You might even be blocked. You're like, what happened? You know? And you're lost because there's no closure. You had no idea. You didn't see this coming. Did you? So that's what you call like a primary loss. And in researching from grief coaches, this experience is a shattering loss. The kind of grief no one prepares you for. So exactly what is friendship grief? Again, we said it could be slow, it could be abrupt, it could be drifting away. Either way, it hurts. And then the questions you ask yourself. It's not a woe is me. You really do go internal and think, what happened? What did I do that was so horrible? Did I just become a serial something and turn into this monster? Was it all a lie? Did I imagine this friendship? What was it? I thought we were equally invested, and now you're being told that you're nothing. You never were. Why couldn't they be there for me? Did this loss make me feel too sad, too broken, too needy? And then the final question, a question that really gets to you. Does this apply to all my friendships? Is everybody going to leave? Am I a poor decision maker? And if I make a poor decision here, does that mean that every other that affects that's your personality? Is your personality then one of failure? It is just not as simple as, we've gone our separate ways. No. It is grief. It is death. It is pain. It is loss. And we really need to acknowledge it because the rules of engagement have changed. So how we see why it hurts so much is because what you shared now feels invalid. What you thought you had invested in is sunk, it's lost, it's gone. It's not only gone, it's been shattered. It's been disregarded. It's been thrown away like trash, like garbage, as if you're garbage. Again, it's not that you're taking it personal, you're too sensitive. You definitely don't want anybody around you talking about that because they don't understand, and it's just don't even go. Let's not even be going there. So it ruins and it changes you. Just like any other form of grief, it changes you. For some people, it might make them harder. It might make them, you wonder sometimes when you see persons and they say, I make no friends, I have no friends, I want no one in my life. And you wonder, but this is such a lovely person. But you don't know the pain of the loss that they had 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that changed them forever. The pain, the betrayal of trust is beyond comprehension. It then means that everything in life, it seems then, things become so chaotic. What you trusted is now fizzled away. Life, it seems unpredictable. Friendships, any relationship seems actually harmful. And then what is left? Emptiness. So then what's the point of making a friend at all for them to just betray you in the end? It makes you question your own kind of person. What did I do? What kind of person am I? So you start to take internal inventory. No, I'm not horrible. No, okay, everybody says something wrong at some point. We all do. We're all imperfect. Did you make amends? Did you try to do it? Negotiate it? Okay. So that's the grief of it. So let's not just stay in our grief and wallow. No, we're going to be growing through. So how do we negotiate this loss? Is there room for repair or is it irreparable? To be frank, many times it can be irreparable, especially when you say irreversible things. The irreversible things such as, you were never a friend. You were never this to me. We never meant this. This was never what it was. You mean nothing. All that you said was pretend. Those things are irreversible. You can't get away from, you can't get back from that. But if it was something that you've lost and there was a misunderstanding, you say, let's make time. Let's identify, maybe let's recalibrate. Is there something that we missed? And we must be on the same page. So if the person is really listening and willing to do the back and forth and do a hard conversation, sometimes it might be something that you thought you would said it in earnest and in with intensity, but it was taken or inferred in a way that you never intended, and it was a misunderstanding. And that you might be hurt, but you can come to an agreement. Okay, well, we'll just communicate. Say, well, that hurt my feelings, or that made me feel sad, or I overheard this, or someone said this. If we're that good a friend, we should have the open and honest and straightforward and hard conversations, because that makes the bond of friendship deeper. Friendships are for life. Friendships are bonds that are like blood bonds, you could say. When you say friend, you say compatriot. You say someone who's by your side. You say someone who has decided to forge a unique connection with you. Of all the 9 billion people on this planet, this person has chosen you. Okay. So how do you, so that you may be able to get through, you may be able to reconcile up to a point. Some hurt feelings will remain, takes time. Some things are irreparable, we said. Okay, fine. Well, what can you do then if it's irreparable? You set your boundaries. You're not ignoring your feelings. You're not dismissing their feelings, but you're setting boundaries for your own health. And you're going to say, you know what? That was disrespectful to me, and I won't, that's a boundary line that I won't cross. And you set your boundary lines early in the conversation. You can try reaching out. If they don't respond at all, that's it. But what about the future now? We're creating new rules of engagement. You ask yourself, okay, well, what can I have done better? Yes. What can I say differently? How can I make another friendship? You have to grieve that one. You don't go searching and looking around and saying, okay, I need a friend. No. People will come into your life, and great friendships are still out there, believe it or not. Great friendships that will last are still there. So you ask Some main questions. What do I need now before that I didn't, what I need now that I may not have needed before or may not have expressed before? What kind of emotional safety do I need? And am I expressing that? And are we sharing that? What will I no longer tolerate? What are my boundaries? How do I give of myself without giving away myself? Am I setting myself on fire to keep others warm? No. How do I express that I feel seen, heard, loved, and valued? And does my friend also feel seen, heard, loved, and valued in the relationship? We now have the power to forge new lasting friendships, to forge new bonds, to redefine what may have been so grievous. Time passes, but time don't heal a darn thing, as someone I know says. What we learn through it, how we grow through it, how we update our agreements, how we reestablish our boundaries, how we reestablish and redefine and reconnect with ourselves. That's what's important. That's what's precious. And that's what will make any other bond that we have stronger. Friends who welcome you, friends who don't judge you, friends who don't just have you there for their purposes. And when your purpose in their life is no longer valid, they're gone. Friends who don't diminish you. Friends who actually lift you up and want you to succeed. And you want the same for them. The bond, the come next to me. So the grief is real, the grief is there. But there is room for healing, for new friendships, for new bonds, and for eternal growth. From my heart to yours, Dr. Lana, this was deep. Consider your friendships. Consider if you've lost a friendship, what that could mean, and consider your new friendships, who you become, and how you grow, not just what you've lost. So, I hope this was helpful. I trust this was. Leave in the comments below. Have you lost a friendship? How did it feel? Are you gaining friendships? What did you learn about yourself? It's really for reflection. And so, until next time, good morning, good evening, good night, from my heart to yours. Mwah.